Alright, what's going on guys? My name is Omega and welcome back to another Apex Legends video. So today's video I want to do another episode of the origin story for every single legend. We're specifically going to be taking a look at the 8 newest legends that have come out in this game. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I have a lot of cool information for you guys. Now before we start the video, I do want to let you guys know that my sponsor Glytch Energy has just dropped a brand new flavor last night called Magic Charm. And this is just following the release of iLoot Aim Assist only a couple of weeks ago. So if you guys are interested in checking out some Glytch Energy, you can use code Omega to get 25% off your final order. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all of the recent support, and let's get right into today's video. But we're going to start off today's video with Octane. Octane's real name is Octavio Silva. He's 24 years old and he was born on the planet of Samathi. Now, as you guys know, Octane's parents are both the owners of Silva Pharmaceuticals, and they're also very close with Lifeline's parents, as both their families grew up with each other on Samathi. Now, when Octane was growing up, he became popular from attempting death-defying stunts and posting videos of them to his fans. One of his greatest achievements was when he beat the world record for the gauntlet by using a grenade to launch himself across the finish line, which is also the same way that he actually lost his legs. Now, the gauntlet was a real thing in Titanfall 2 for those of you guys who actually played it, and in Octane's entire backstory was actually inspired by a real Titanfall 2 player whose name was Cash_Mayo. This guy actually completed the gauntlet challenge in the game in only 12 seconds by doing this exact same method. By the way, that video is on YouTube if you want to see him beat the world record on the gauntlet. I highly suggest you go and watch that. Now, after losing his legs, Octane had forged a job offer letter from Silva Pharmaceuticals, which he used to try and persuade Lifeline to order him a new set of legs. After getting his new legs, Octane ran away from the hospital, despite Lifeline's obvious attempts to keep him there. Afterwards, Octane figured that the only way he could satisfy his need for that level of adrenaline was to join the Apex games and become a champion. Now, if you guys have ever paid close attention to Octane, one thing that you may have noticed is that he has a dialysis machine on his belt that filters his blood and allows him to take as much stim as he wants. Interestingly enough, the stim he gets comes from his father's company called Silva Pharmaceuticals. And yeah, this guy is definitely not winning any Father of the Year awards for either giving his son drugs or by just letting him take it in the first place. But anyways, that's enough of Octane's story. Moving on to Wattson, whose real name is Natalie Paquette. She's 22 years old and was born on the planet of Solus. So Wattson's story starts with her father, Luke Paquette, who was the lead engineer for the Apex games. From a young age, Wattson worked very closely with her father, basically trying to learn everything she could about electrical engineering. The two of them actually worked together to create the ring in the Apex games. However, her dad mysteriously passed away the same day it was completed. Very weird. While heartbroken over her dad's passing, Wattson found comfort in some of the other legends, including Bangalore, Gibraltar, Lifeline, and Caustic, who actually helped to support her during that difficult time, which is the reason that inspired her to join the games, so that she could also help to support them. Now, if you play Wattson a lot, you may have noticed some of her voice lines where she says, "Electricity I get, people I don't." This was confirmed by one of the writers, Tom Cassiello, who said that the reason for these voice lines was because that Wattson was on the spectrum, meaning that she had a more difficult time understanding people in social situations. Now, throughout the story, Wattson developed some pretty close relationships with a couple of the legends, including Caustic and Crypto during the Broken Ghost quest in Season 5. As you guys know, during this quest line, the legends at the time were trying to figure out who the mole was that was giving Revenant information on their plan to help Loba retrieve the artifact. Caustic was the first to suggest that Crypto was the mole, which is pretty easy for the legends to believe considering that nobody really knew much about Crypto at the time. As it turned out though, Caustic was the mole the entire time and only blamed Crypto because he did not like that him and Wattson were becoming close friends. Wattson eventually learned of Caustic's betrayal after getting a letter from Gibraltar who told her the truth about what happened. Now, the official artwork that we learned about this letter also teased the heat shields that you can see in Season 8, which basically also confirms that these heat shields were designed by Wattson. Now, moving on to Crypto, whose real name is Taejun Park. He's 31 years old and was born on the planet Gia. Now, Crypto grew up with his foster sister Mila and were both raised by a woman named Mystique. I talked about in my first Origins video how there's a very good chance that this Mystique woman could be Caustic's real mother, which would make Caustic and Crypto stepbrothers. But growing up, Crypto and Mila eventually started to work for the Syndicate, designing drones to help them broadcast the Apex games to the Outlands. However, one day, Mila stumbled upon an algorithm that could be used to predict the outcome of every single Apex Legends game. This led Mila to get captured by the Syndicate, forcing Crypto to change his entire entire identity and go into hiding. To this day, the only character in Apex who knows Crypto's true identity is Wattson. Now, in order to get closer to the people who framed him, Crypto had hacked the mainframe of the Apex games to make it look like he was a qualified legend. Before joining the games in Season 3, he also took out the repulsor tower on King's Canyon, which caused flyers and Leviathans to enter the map and provided a pretty nice distraction for him to sneak himself in. Now, one interesting thing to note is that during the Voidwalker story from the Outlands, Voidwalker Wraith uses a USB to hack into an IMC lab in order to find and kill a scientist there named Amer Singh. While accessing the mainframe, Crypto's logo appears, which suggests that Voidwalker Wraith could have worked with both Crypto and Mila long before he joined the games. Now, in terms of Mila's status in Apex, we know that from her audio files, Mila is still alive and has since escaped from the Syndicate. She also mentions that the people who kidnapped her are working for one guy only, who has been watching Crypto's every move since he joined the games. While we don't have any confirmation yet on who this person is, many people are considering that the possibility that this person is Cuban Blisk, who is the creator of the Apex games. Now, next up, we're going to talk about Revenant, whose real name is Caleb Cross. He's been alive for over 300 years, but was born on the planet Solus. So before being turned into a simulacrum, Revenant was once a human whose name was Caleb Cross. However, in the year 2420, he was turned into a simulacrum by Hammond Robotics and was offered to the Syndicate as their own personal hitman. Revenant worked for the Syndicate for over 300 years as a simulacrum, but was programmed to make him believe he was still a human. Whenever Revenant would die, the Syndicate would rebuild him and also erase his memories so that he would never figure out what he really was. It wasn't until Revenant murdered Marcos and Alonza Andreda, also known as Loba's birth parents, that he realized that he was not human. He was able to remember every single time he died and all of the times he had his memories wiped, including all of the pain he had gone through in the last 300 years. From here out, we see Revenant trying to get revenge on anyone who has a connection with Hammond Robotics. Revenant even went after Forge, who was supposed to be the next legend joining the games in Season 4. He killed Forge and the next day was given a spot in the Apex games, only so that the Syndicate could keep a very close eye on him. Revenant continues to have a very big part of the Apex story, but before I can explain the rest of his lore, I need to talk about the origin story for Loba. Now, Loba's real name is Loba Andrade. She's 34 years old and was born on the planet of Gia. So Loba's parents were named Marcos and Alonza Andrade, who were both notorious thieves in the Outland. One day, Marcos Andrade stole an artifact from an unknown person and had a huge bounty put on him. That night, Revenant broke into a restaurant at Bonsai Plaza where both Loba and her family were getting dinner. At that time, he murdered both of Loba's parents when she was only 9 years old, forcing her to go into the foster care system where she was raised until she was an adult. As a young adult, though, Loba survived by pickpocketing as well as committing small crimes just to get by. It wasn't until she was able to steal the technology that she needed to create her teleportation bracelet where she started to become famous as a thief. Her bracelet allowed her to steal anything from anywhere, and she was pretty content with her life of crime up until she learned from her close friend Jamie that Revenant had joined the Apex games. Throughout Season 4, we got teasers describing how Loba and her friend Jamie had worked together to figure out that the only way to kill Revenant is by destroying his source code, and that the source code was located somewhere underneath Skulltown and Thunderdome. Now, after being face to face with Revenant's source code, Loba does try to destroy it, but accidentally triggers an alarm that makes Revenant's source code get transmitted to Samathi, the same planet that Olympus is on. Loba escapes the underground facility right before it blows up, destroying both Skulltown and Thunderdome instantly. After escaping, she is met face to face with the rest of the legends, including her sworn enemy, Revenant. Now, Loba and Revenant's story continues throughout the Season 5 Broken Ghost quest when Loba recruits the legends to steal back the artifact that got her father killed. It was during this time that Loba learned that Revenant actually wants her to destroy his source code, as he's wanted to die ever since learning that he was a simulacrum. This obviously presents a pretty difficult decision for Loba. She wants to kill Revenant herself, but she doesn't want to feel like she's already doing him a favor since he wants to die. It wasn't until Season 7 when we learned that Loba had apparently found and sent his source code to a planet called Gridiron, which is very, very far away and would take many, many light years to travel to. Now, it's possible Loba is lying about this just to torture Revenant even more, as we're not 100% sure that's where Loba sent it. She could have also used Gridiron as an expression for just how far away it actually was. What we do know, however, is that Revenant said he was going to kill someone very close to Loba in the near future. Whether that's going to be Jamie, possibly Bangalore, because they have developed a close relationship over the past couple of seasons, we don't know, but someone close to Loba is probably going to die very soon.
I will kill you, but not today. Today, I become your shadow, and I wait. And when you finally have something you love with all your heart, I'll annihilate it.
Moving on to Rampart, whose real name is Ramia Perek. She's 21 years old and was born on the planet of Gia. Now, Rampart is a weapons modder who's been modding since she was only 12 or 13 years old. Dude, imagine when you're 12 or 13 modding weapons. I was like watching cartoons and eating cereal at 1 in the afternoon, so I can't even imagine that. But before opening her modding shop, which you can see from her endorsement video, she also became famous for competing in the Underground Gauntlet circuit, which is basically just a way, I guess, for people to fight and kill each other with weapons. From Rampart's story from the Outlands video, we know that she had gotten a call from a woman named Frances, who was a member of Big Sister's gang. Frances told Rampart to purposely throw the gauntlet match because their people had a large amount of money betting on her losing. Rampart ends up winning the match, which gets her a surprise visit from Big Sister and her gang. After surviving the attack, Blisk shows up out of nowhere to deliver an invitation for Rampart to compete in the Apex Games. Now, during the Season 6 quest, we know that Rampart was using Paradise Lounge, which was also Mirage's bar, as her new modding shop. This was also the same place that Ash was being kept after Pathfinder found her body in a dumpster. Towards the end of the season, we learned that Mirage accidentally packed Rampart's shop up and put it on the rocket ship that was going to Olympus. This causes Rampart to go with Mirage and Pathfinder to Samathi with the rest of the legends. Up next, we have Horizon, whose real name is Dr. Mary Summers. She's 37 years old and was born on the planet Samathi. Now, Horizon's story actually starts almost 100 years before the Apex Games even begins. She was an astrophysicist who was hired to find a solution to the ongoing energy crisis happening in the Outlands. During her research, she discovered branthium, an element that could only be found in black holes, yet had the potential to be the answer to the entire energy crisis. Before leaving Olympus to go into space with her assistant Dr. Reed, Horizon promised her son Newt that she would return home to be with him again very soon. However, while in space, Horizon was betrayed by Dr. Reed, who stole the branthium and left Horizon to die. Luckily, Horizon was able to modify her drone to help her escape, but since time moved differently while she was in the black hole's orbit, she returned to Olympus 88 years too late. Not only did she miss her son's entire life, but her home on Olympus was also destroyed. Despite this unfortunate reality, Horizon still believed that she could figure out a way to once again be with her son. Throughout Season 7, Horizon would get cryptic audio messages that were left behind on computers by her son Newt. In the messages, Newt said that he saw Horizon with him after she had gone into space and after everyone had told him she was already dead. Towards the end of the season, Horizon finds a final voice recorded message from her son where she can also hear herself talking in the background. This confirmed to fans that Horizon will one day discover how to go back in time to be with her son. Now, last but not least, we have Fuse, whose real name is Walter Fitzroy. He's age 54 and was born on the planet of Salvo. Now, while growing up on Salvo, he worked as a mercenary with his childhood friend Maggie. Maggie was interested in becoming one of Salvo's most powerful warlords. Fuse, on the other hand, was only interested in fighting in hand-to-hand combat at the Bone Cage, where he became famous for winning 21 straight matches. It wasn't until Salvo had signed a treaty to join Syndicate Space when Fuse was offered a chance to be the representative for Salvo in the Apex Games. When Fuse told Maggie about this, she was obviously very pissed just because she hated the Syndicate. She ended up throwing a grenade at him, which blew off one of his arms. If you fast forward to when Fuse and the ceremony ship had arrived on King's Canyon, Maggie had detonated bombs hidden inside the canyons, which destroyed the entire map. As you're watching this video, you now probably know that Mad Maggie has taken over the rings in Apex Legends in an attempt to get back at Fuse for betraying her. Now, one random fun fact before I end this video is that at the time that when Forge died in Season 4, one of the Apex Legends writers had accidentally tweeted the name Fuse instead of Forge. So they were working on Fuse for a very long time back when like Season 3 and Season 4 was happening. This writer accidentally tweeted Fuse's name instead of Forge's name, and apparently only one person had responded to him asking who is Fuse before the tweet was deleted. So that's pretty funny. I had no idea about that until Fuse was actually released just a couple months ago. But anyways, that concludes today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed or at least learned something new about the Apex Legends lore. There's so much stuff to dive in, and I can't wait to continue to do this series for the future of Apex. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you guys all on the next one. Have a great day. Peace out.